Chris Broussard. All right, Broussard, let's talk about LeBron James, shall we? LeBron won his 4th title last night and his 4th Finals MVP. The guy looked like he was on a mission this entire season, but especially when things got going in the bubble. As Nick sort of predicted, 5, 5, 5, 6. Here's LeBron on what motivated him.
I think, personally, thinking I had something to prove fuels me, and it fueled me over these last year and a half since my injury. It fueled me because no matter what I've done in my career up to this point, there's still a little rumblings of doubt or, comparing me to, the history of the game and has he done this, has he done that, so having that in my head, having that in my mind, saying to myself, why not still have something to prove? I think it fuels me.
It is unimaginable to me that LeBron James, who has the resume that he does, still feels like he's got something to prove. But Broussard, let me ask you, what did LeBron prove last night winning his 4th title?
Well, look, a lot of people this didn't need to be proven to. A lot of people, though, it did. And LeBron proved, again, I would say, that he's a winner. Because, look, there are a lot of people that harp on the 6 finals losses. That's more than any other MVP in NBA history has lost in the finals. And people use that to dog LeBron James. And 4-6, while his record still is at 500 in the finals, 4-6 is much better than 3-6 or 3-7. Also, it separates. I'd say most people view LeBron and Jordan as 1 and 2. Like, I've got Jordan 1, LeBron 2, and, some people may have it reversed, but most people have got those 2 as the top 2 players in NBA history. But him winning a 4th Finals MVP and joining Michael Jordan as the only players to do it kind of officially separates LeBron from the rest of the pack, like Magic and Shaq and Tim Duncan and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the other guys who had won 3 Finals MVP. So now it's almost like, okay, it's officially, the GOAT conversation is now officially a 2-man race between LeBron and Michael Jordan. And I'm glad LeBron talked about being fueled by thinking he still has stuff to prove, because he does. Like Nick said earlier, he still has to prove to me that he's the GOAT. I still have Michael Jordan. And I am doing LeBron a favor, I see, by saying he's still got he's got some mountains to climb, which is Michael Jordan.
It's a good take.
Nick, you're hurting your man, Nick. You're by prematurely anointing him the GOAT. Okay. You are not helping LeBron. He needs that carrot to go for. And so there's been 3 here. I'm gonna throw this at you, Nick, and we'll get to this, I know, later in the week. 3 times in modern basketball history, or since Bill Russell, there have been 3-peats. 2 of them by Michael Jordan, the other one by Shaq and Kobe, 2 top 10 players. It took 2 top 10 players to do a 3-peat, which Michael Jordan did twice. That's something to shoot for, something to prove. So I'm putting that out for LJ, because I want to see a repeat next year.
No doubt about it, Broussard. And Michael should try to win championships without Hall of Fame coaches. My guess is he won't, because he's been retired for 20 years. But if we're here's the problem. There is going to be a lot of things LeBron does that not only did Michael not do, but he ain't going to get the chance to, because he's been smoking cigars on the back 9 of the golf course for the last 20 years. But you're right, we can do the LeBron Jordan stuff later, but I want to talk more about LeBron versus sports history. Because who are the greatest winners in sports history, right? So you have, let's go modern sports history, last 50 years. You have Tom Brady, who was paired with Bill Belichick the whole way. You have Michael Jordan, who was paired with Phil Jackson the whole way. You have, I would argue, Kareem and Magic, who Kareem won 1 title before Magic and then a decade without one, who were paired together and then had Riley for the lion's share of it. And then you have this guy, who did it with Spo, who did it with Ty, who did it with Vogel, who did it with a litany of teammates, some great, some not so great. in a litany of cities. And to be not only be doing it in different circumstances, for different franchises, for different coaches, without that all-time great leader from the bench, all the other dynasties in sports history have had, but to also somehow in year 17 still be getting better. Broussard, I want to show you a graphic that I think is going to blow your mind. Here is the highest field goal percentage on twos in playoff history. LeBron now 3 times in a playoff run has trumped the best Shaquille O'Neal season. LeBron just this year had the single best postseason as far as field goal percentage on twos. In the final game of the finals, he set his playoff high this year for and ones and dunks. When everyone else was wearing down, he was still getting better. And that is why eventually, I don't think this will be a debate, but he is still writing the resume. And the resume right now is unlike anybody's in the history of the sport, Broussard.
Yeah, look, he still, I mean, like you said, what I want is LeBron and AD to keep the mentality they have right now. What did LeBron say last week? We're not jealous of each other. If they can keep that mentality, they've got at least one more championship in them, if not more than that. And look, maybe it'll happen next year or maybe it'll happen the year after. But at some point, AD is going to become the better player. Brandon said he thought it was happening already during these playoffs. But at some point, AD will be the guy, and LeBron's going to be able to have to handle that. He should handle it. He's proven everything he needs to prove, except being the GOAT. But he's going to have to handle that. And if he can accept being Magic, right, leading the team in assists, running the show, not scoring as much, that's when they can win more championships.
This whole MJ debate, I think, fuels LeBron, and it reminds me of a story in the Bible. Peter talks about this thorn in my side, and what he meant by that is, like, a lot of people ask, like, take this thorn out my side. Like, it hurts, it's painful. But really, what Peter ended up coming back around and saying was, no, leave it there because it reminds me of my sin, and it fuels me. So when you think about LeBron James and this whole MJ debate, he needs to he needs to embrace this. And he needs to get comfortable with this uncomfortable debate because it's not going anywhere. When you look at finals MVP, MVPs, and title runs, like, those numbers are there. They're valid. And also what MJ did off the court for culture. So this debate isn't going anywhere, even if he ties MJ in every single strong category. So when you think about this thorn in my side, like, if I'm LeBron, like, you got to embrace this because there comes a time in a player's career where you're like, yo, what else do I have to prove? And that's the only thing left that he has to prove. Because after year 10, you have all the money, you have all the fame. What's next? What gets you out of bed? Like, that's where you see a lot of these guys tank. I look around in the locker room. I used to look around the locker room all the time when I used to play in the NFL, and it was like, man, why is this guy not the same that he was last year? Well, because he already got the contract, because he already got the Gatorade deal. And for LeBron, he has the entire world. And now he's a global icon. When you look at what he was able to do through this global pandemic and all the racial tension, so the only thing left for him to do, and the only thing left that gets him up every single day after year 17 is chasing MJ.
Yeah, I don't think that his legacy moved that much, Broussard. I think the people that are Jordan people stay Jordan people. The people like Nick who are LeBron people are going to stay LeBron people. But I ask you this. By that take for a second, whose legacy do you think moved the most? I think it's Dwight. Dwight got chased out of L.A. He was, you know, a perennial all-star, defensive player of the year. But they were still having, like, conversations about, like, is this guy a Hall of Famer? But now he's a champion. Are you on the Dwight train, or who else do you think's legacy moved the most with this championship last night?
I think LeBron needed this. If he hadn't gotten the Finals MVP, then a lot of people would say the GOAT debate is over, even though he won the championship. So I agree with you. He didn't leap Jordan, but he did get a little bit closer, so that helped him. Dwight, I can't go with the Dwight answer because nothing was expected of Dwight. Let's face it. That's why everybody was in love with what he did this year, because he was a good guy. He didn't ruin the locker room, and nothing was expected. So his 8 points and 6 rebounds was great. But if you look at his career, that's a lot less than what he's usually done. I think Anthony Davis jumped the most because, and even though he struggled at times, as Brandon said, now he's got his championship, and it's just about building his legacy from this moment on. And again, they should be able to win more with him and LeBron.
All right, 2 quick things here. Wilds, I think the smartest thing you said was the Jordan people will remain Jordan people, which, if you think about it, is really hilarious that, okay, yeah, LeBron didn't move that much in their eyes. All he did was win the championship because it's never been about logic or fairness or looking at the game. It's about holding on to the nostalgia and history. But I have a very quick question for Chris Broussard. Broussard, how much did these finals hurt Jimmy Butler's legacy, since we're talking legacy? How much did they hurt?
Don't answer this. Don't answer this nonsense.
It's a trap.
I don't think it hurt it. It helped it. What are you talking about?
It helped it. Hold on. Jimmy Butler, yes.
Did it.
Hold on.
Fell for it, Broussard.
Broussard, he's now 0-1 in the finals. I mean, I think Giannis came out of these playoffs a lot better. Giannis, 0 finals losses.
You went a
Jimmy
long
Butler,
way for that
finals loss. The single worst thing you can do. Single worst thing you can do in the playoffs. Right. Right. The worst thing. I feel bad for Jimmy because I thought he played well, but the legacy just tanks now. Sucks. Just sucks.
Broussard, thank you so much. Nick, bittersweet weekend for you. Your Lakers won.
No, it was all sweet,
You
Jenna.
should do it. Your
Jenna, you
Chiefs
think
lost.
this is going to bother me?
Do you think the Chiefs,
It's
like
fine.
you, looked past the Raiders? Is that possible? We'll talk about that. But first, JaVale McGee tossing some shade at the Greek Freak.
Y'all talk about the Greek Freak. He the first one with it. He the first one with it, yeah.